Welcome to Bat Lessons, where we normally talk about Batman history, but sometimes we have a book club where we talk about Absolute Batman. Today, we're going to talk about Absolute Batman number 3. Are you excited?
I am excited. Now that we've like officially christened this book club corner, I feel like I need like a pipe with bubbles or something.
Yeah, well, I just realized that's what we were doing, right? We were doing every issue, and people were following along. So
you're absolutely right.
And presumably, after we're done with Absolute Batman, we'll do something else. Like I think this is
this is fun.
So
this is really good. Yeah.
So any non-spoiler thoughts before we jump right in?
All set up.
Yeah, this issue is definitely like doing the work. They're like laying groundwork. It was all exposition. I think it'll read better in the trade probably than it does month to month. Like not that I disliked it, but it's dense. So
yeah, many fewer bombs drop.
Yes, Absolute Batman number 3. Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta. We've got him fighting some of the party animals on the cover.
In classic Batman fashion.
Yeah,
the cover does not happen in the issue.
It does not. You are correct. Like maybe this happened in the first issue. Maybe this is something that didn't happen. It's high concept. We start with a flashback. So we're picking up where the flashback in issue number 2 left off, right? So, and this is actually something, Brian, I don't know if you know, we got a bunch of feedback in the comments. Do you read the comments?
I read some of the comments. I don't read all
so
of them.
I dropped the ball. We dropped the ball on this. He is with his mother, right? In their apartment.
Mm-hmm.
She comes in, she tells him his friends are there. He's looking at this medal. He chucks it out the window. Selina comes in the window. She's got the medal. And we were like, what's the medal about? We're going to learn more. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So the medal is in issue number 1. I don't know. I had to go back and check. Everyone told us. The zoo trip is happening because Bruce won like a science fair. So it's a reward. They're at the zoo because he did a good thing. He gets the medal, but his dad gets shot on the field trip.
Thank you, viewers and listeners.
Yes,
that's very
setting
helpful.
It straight. Right. So she comes in the window. She's got the medal, and she's like, "Let's go." Right. This is picking up right where that left off. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Snyder does this thing where he has these concepts: the advance forward, the regroup and retreat. Right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
His high level concept is eyes forward this time. So Selina's saying like, cats can't see very far, so to keep their balance, they're always looking forward because they have to. I don't even know. It's a thing. She repeats it a bunch in the issue.
So right out of the gate, this is classic Batman and Catwoman chasing each other across the rooftops.
Yes.
Which I think that's a really fun. It's a little bit of fan service, but like a little reference to like what we've seen a lot of in the past, and maybe what is to come as they're adults.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
We haven't seen adult Selina yet.
No, we have not.
The title page for every issue so far in this three issues of this 5-part story arc have been double page splashes from the zoo. First one, it was the gun over the blue sky. Second one, it's Bruce inside the bat exhibit with the bats on top of him. Now we've got this one. You want to talk about it?
I think this is beautiful. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on because it starts off with Selina Kyle with Catwoman, and it's got the big cat at the zoo.
It does.
And then in the background you see passed out Bruce Wayne being carried by Commissioner Gordon while he's running through the zoo, which is there's I don't know, a beautiful piece of art, and there's a lot of storytelling that happens with like no dialogue, no words, anything.
And not even multiple panels. This is a still image, right? It's pretty heart-wrenching, actually, in my opinion. And we don't get much flashing back to the zoo here. I think this is just about it for the issue. So that's issue number 2 ended with the flashback to Selina, but in the non-flashback, in the current time, the flashback, I don't know if you recall, Batman had broken into the campaign office for Hill, right? Because he was trying to figure out where the money was coming from. How was his campaign funded? Found that it was coming from something called Arc M.
Yes.
And when he's figuring this out, Black Mask appears on a TV and says he's surrounded by party animals inside the building, and he's surrounded by police on the outside of the building. He says he's got some kind of deal for Batman. He just has to escape with his life, right?
That's right.
And the way that Batman escapes is he goes down an elevator shaft by opening the doors and like jumping down.
Yep.
At the bottom of the elevator shaft is Alfred. And Alfred's like, let's work together. But we got to get out of here first. And he asks, "Do you have some kind of car or vehicle?" And
Yes.
Batman's like, "You're in it."
You're in it.
And it's this ridiculous construction vehicle.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, this is picking up where that left off.
That's right.
This huge, large, ridiculous construction vehicle, somehow it converts into like a smaller and faster tank.
Yes. Well, so like there's like a couple of elements to this. Is like first off, these construction vehicles are like really, really big. They're really
Huge.
really heavy,
Ginormous.
and they're really slow.
Yes.
And he's souped this one up to where it's going fast.
Yeah.
That alone is like we've left reality.
Sure.
And then it does like that full Tumblr transformer thing to like to get that low profile to look less like a dump truck and more like a, I don't know, like an F1 car almost.
Yeah. Which is ridiculous. Have you ever seen one of those like funnels that's like silicone, it like folds flat, or like a dog dish? Or like a cup?
Yeah.
It's like somehow it like collapses in onto itself, so to a car like a third that size.
Well, it's like the tires came out from under it and they went to the side and everything dropped down. And it's just it's bonkers.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm fine with it, but it's like it is the most crazy, unrealistic thing in this whole series so far. Is just this Batmobile.
They proceed to have like a fun action chase sequence. It's good comic, like motorcycles are chasing them. They're throwing like Batman like wrecking balls. It's very over the top.
Yeah.
And all the while, Alfred is having a conversation with Bruce that is the primary exposition for the issue. And the gist is that Alfred thinks that Black Mask wants to make a deal with him, like he said, and that he speculates that that deal is that if Batman stops trying to track or catch or stop Black Mask, then he's going to give Batman money, right?
Right.
Which Black Mask has not said. This is Alfred telling Batman that this is the case, right?
Right.
The theory being, and Alfred wants Batman to do it. He says, like, take the deal. And the theory is that Black Mask is going to have to move that money that he's going to give to Batman through some sort of transactions that Alfred's intelligence agency can also track. Right? And because they're going to track the money, that's how they're going to take down Black Mask. They can get him later somewhere else down the line. So he's like, it's win-win-win. You know, you get to look like the hero for the city because he's going to get what he wants. You get money, and then eventually we're going to get Black Mask. Like, you can do the right thing by doing the wrong thing, right?
Right. So one of the things that they said that was also, or that Alfred said that was interesting is, I'm certain that Black Mask is near his goal.
Right.
And if you just back off for a little bit, he's going to bring down the crime like way, way, way down.
Yes.
And then things will go well and you'll get credit for it. I think that this is also kind of interesting because Alfred's not saying by taking the money, you are implicated in all of this.
Right.
Like, that's not good. I mean, they're probably, we know they're after him anyway because he's Batman and he's a vigilante. But taking hundreds of millions of dollars from organized crime is like probably not going to help him out.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think it's implied maybe that somehow Alfred has a way of protecting him, or that he's aware of what's going on, or, you know, that he's got some sort of power or knowledge.
Right.
I find it internally logically consistent. It is a little weird. Like, why is Alfred the one that's pitching this for the first time? We're not getting this exposition from Black Mask. We're getting it from Alfred. I think probably because it's the one that is going to sell it to us the best, but not because of that. This what would
that's a really good point.
Happen. Yeah.
I was thinking more of like the whole like advance forward rest and retreat or whatever.
Sure.
Is that Batman is just so focused on this goal that he might not be doing the type of lateral thinking in the strategy that Alfred is, because Alfred's, he says in the issue that like his whole thing has been like working in the shadows and strategizing, and no one ever knowing who he is, which is like a different type of skill set, I think, than like barreling down the middle of a road with a giant Batmobile, you know.
Well, and this kind of ties into some of the themes that we were just talking about on Batman Cape Crusader, the cartoon, right? The idea that like the Batman traditionally is incorruptible, right? That like he's so moral that he wouldn't ever stoop to something like this. Whereas like someone like Alfred sees themselves as more pragmatic, right? That is willing to get their hands dirty to throw the switch in the trolley problem, right? They're going to do the wrong thing to ultimately do the right thing.
Right.
And we're trying to, and that's like in Batman Cape Crusader, that was like people going on that journey were Flash and Bullock and Harvey Dent. And we're setting up Batman and Bruce to go on that journey here. So it is another inversion of like good person being asked to do the wrong thing.
I did think about the conversation several times while I was reading this issue of like, oh man, are they going to show that Batman is corruptible? Like, what is about to happen here?
Yeah. They certainly want us to think that.
Yeah.
I think. So after Alfred gives this pitch to Batman, they're cornered at the end of a dock, and Batman gets Alfred to eject himself out of the tank, which is hilarious.
It is really funny because Alfred's like, hey, we're stuck. What do we do now? And Batman's like, the lever in front of you. And Alfred's like, all right, this. And then when he pulls it, it bloop, shoots him out.
And then this ridiculous construction vehicle, which kind of turned into a tank, now turns into a submarine, apparently.
Yes. Yeah.
And he gets away by like driving into a pipe under the ground.
Right. Well, and consider how large that pipe must be for how large
it's going to be ginormous.
Yeah. Ginormous. Like 6 stories tall. Like ginormous.
And goes to a cave somewhere that no one else knows about, apparently. So we cut back to the flashback.
One thing right there that I have, and I don't think you have, is an ad. And it is a perfectly placed ad.
Okay, I read it digitally this time, so I don't have the print ad.
Let's see if it works for you. So yeah, you've got the drops into the water.
Yeah.
Aquaman. The king is back, baby.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Good ad placement, DC. Nice job.
Yes. We cut back to the flashback, and we learned that Selina is a foster kid, and kind of jumping from home to home. She likes her friends and the cats because they're constant, so we're getting like character beats for her. Bruce suggests that Selina should come live with them because his mom loves her, and she doesn't want that for some reason. So I hope that's Chekhov's argument. Like, I hope we come back to that, because to me that seems so logical. Like, why wouldn't that work? You know, she's like, Bruce, stop it. I don't even want to talk about it. So we also learned that they're shutting down the zoo. Oh, sorry. They're shutting down the zoo because of the shooting. And the reason that they're talking about it is because the lion, one from the splash page, is getting sent back to its home. It's like native land, which makes Selina happy.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I think this is a really interesting, like, way of doing exposition. We're learning about something that I think is probably important to us, exposition-wise, which is the zoo is closing, but we're learning it through Selina's like personal. It's a character beat for her in addition to being an exposition beat, and it ties in with the title page. It's like very well written. It's very tight.
Right. And it also just kind of describes how Bruce and her aren't looking at it the same way. Selina's like, the zoo is closed. They're sending him back to Tanzania, setting him free. And Bruce goes, what's happy about that? And she's like, you know, for a genius, you can be really dumb sometimes. And that's where they go into the theater. But anyway, I thought that was interesting because I think that also kind of describes like the general public's understanding of zoos. Like, some people are like, oh, this is cool. This is entertainment. And these animals must be happy. But like people who like understand more because like the animals are safe and they're being fed and blah, blah, blah. And then there are people who look into like the psychology of animals and are like, these animals aren't happy. They would rather be in danger, but free than in these cages, you know? And so like the idea that she as a character is describing wanting to be more free in terms of like talking about this lion. I don't know. I think there's some interesting psychology going on there.
Yeah. Well, and while she doesn't really have a home, right?
Right.
Yeah. It is interesting. So she guides him to a movie theater.
Yeah. And on the screen, you can see they're watching Zorro. I think that's fun yet again, because that in a bunch of different instances of the origins that we talked about in another episode, Zorro is commonly the movie that Bruce watches with his parents right before they're shot in Crime Alley.
Right.
So like yet another kind of callback to previous.
Right.
Batman.
I've seen some people online saying that this is a happy version of that same memory or whatever. I also went back to issue number 1 because I had like a flash of something about a movie. Yeah. And it's true. When they're in the zoo before the shooting starts, Bruce is talking to Thomas, his dad, about, I think Thomas asked him, like, are you excited to see the movie tonight? So they were going to go as a family to see a movie later after the zoo. And I thought, oh man, it must have been Zorro, right? They don't say that. So I don't know if it's implied that they're watching the movie that they would have been watching as a family, but he's watching it with their friends. But I did think it was interesting, right? This is something that again, when I'm flipping back the old issues after having read this one, all the friends show up. If you go back to the beginning of this flashback, they were waiting outside. And Bruce tells his mom to tell him to go away. So Selina comes in the window to get him. They were all going to go to the movie. That was the plan all along. Everyone wanted to go see the movie. And in fact, at the end of this flashback, Martha's in the back of the theater. She's in on it too.
Oh, I didn't even see that she's in the back.
Yes, it's on a later page.
Wow.
She's in there. So
Good eyes.
everyone wanted to take Bruce to the movie. They're trying to cheer him up. I think it's a really sweet moment.
Yeah, it is really sweet. Well, and then Selena's the one who's able to kind of bait him out and
Yes.
tease him over there.
Exactly.
Yeah, the point where Bruce says, "What do you think you're doing?" I was really curious how to interpret that, because there's a part of me that's in this bubble right here in the bottom right corner. Which that part is interesting to me because it's, so she says eyes ahead, that's the one on the right, and then it's Zorro, and then he goes, "What do you think you're doing?" And it's like, the response, is it because he's been avoiding this movie? Is it because he was just tricked into sitting and watching a movie? Is he angry and doesn't want to be there? Or is he already at this point where he's looking at movies as like a waste of his time or something?
Yes.
Like, how to interpret all of that?
So they did say in issue number 1 that the movie they were going to see that night as a family was the one that was Thomas and Martha's first date. So now, with the context of that line of like, "What do you think you're doing?" It must be. This must have been the movie they were going to go watch as a family, which is actually kind of. It's not just sad; it might be a little messed up. Like,
Yeah.
by the way, if someone's grieving, and you tell them you're not going to grieve the way you want to grieve, you're going to come with me.
Yeah.
and grieve the way I want you to grieve.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best.
I kind
but
of
they're
hope that
kids.
this is just like a newer movie or not related at all. And he's
No,
just
they
like,
said
"You've tricked me
when
into spending time with you," you know?
when all the friends show up later. I think it's Edwards is like, "Oh man, it's black and white too." So I think
it
it's
is
meant to be
old.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a cool idea. Also, don't do that to your friend when their parent dies.
Yes.
That sounds like a little bit. Yeah. Cut back to present day. Bruce is visiting Eddie. He's talking to like an AI that Eddie has made. I'm guessing this AI is some sort of reference. I don't get it. But you know, I haven't read all the comics, but Bruce ends up asking the AI. He wants to talk to Eddie, but Eddie's like, "No, you gotta text the AI." He asks the AI, like, "Tell me more about these helmets," right? If you remember in the last issue, he brings the party animals helmet to him. They find out that it's got like screens on the inside that are telling him what to do. Like it's giving them directions about places and things to kill and things like that. The new info that we learn here is that it's not just telling them to do it. It's like awarding them with like bounties. So they're all earning like crypto, basically.
Yes. So that was actually a really interesting element that basically anonymizes all of the goons a little bit.
Right.
Is that like they may not know who Black Mask is or anything
right.
like that. They just have these skulls that are saying, "If you do these things, I'll give you money."
Right.
And now
And
they're
it's
out.
untraceable money, right? That's the
Right.
idea.
And so, yeah, it is bounties in that they're being given tasks, they're completing them there. And he even says like you can become rich in a really short amount of time, or highly wealthy in a short amount of time.
Right. During the scene, Bruce also gets a call from Harvey. He's had him look into the money that's in Arc M, where that fund comes from. And he explains that there's some sort of black sites that are funded privately by tons of different businesses.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of extra info on it at that point, but we learn about it more later in the issue.
He says private prisons.
Does he say that on that page?
Yeah. The highly diversified subsidiary is across the globe, but one specialty is building secure facilities. Private prisons, Bruce.
Okay.
And not just ordinary ones either.
Gotcha.
Black sites.
For some reason, I thought we didn't get that until later, but yeah. So Arkham is related to prisons. Yeah.
Which
Black
we
sites.
could have guessed that.
Yeah. But like it's not an asylum, right?
Oh, yeah. I
And
know.
not sanctioned, right? Meanwhile, the mayoral candidate, Hill, has called Chief of Police Bullock to Roman Sionis' yacht, Black Mask's yacht. During the meeting, Black Mask is wrestling Bibbo Babowski for some reason. Do you know who Bibbo is?
No, I don't have any idea.
He's like a C-level side character from Superman in the 80s.
Kidding.
Yeah, super not important. I don't know why. he had this really touching moment in Death of Superman, which is one of the most famous like Superman books ever. So, you know, it's not like I shouldn't say he's unimportant. He was around a lot, but it's like, to me, it's like very, 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 very much a side character for a different character.
Yeah. Interesting.
Odd tie-in.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a little bit of interesting strategizing going here because we've got Bullock. Is that the guy's name?
He's chief of police. Yeah, Harvey Bullock.
Harvey Bullock. And referred to him as commissioner. Hill referred to him as
commissioner, not chief of police. Sorry.
And the commissioner is like, "What are you greasing palms? Like, I'm not interested in this." And Hill's like, "No. I'm just trying to make introductions." And then they go up into this boat, and then things happen. We'll come back to this.
Right. Essentially, Black Mask is trying to bribe Bullock for his endorsement. He wants Hill to be mayor, and he says you should endorse Hill. He says that in return for that, he can get RVs. Which, by the way, I googled this, like police RV. I don't know what the hell that is. But he wants RVs and helicopters. And if you remember in issue number 2, they're in the hospital, right? Yeah. And Bullock is saying, like, to fight Batman and to fight the party animals, we need all this stuff to like militarize the police or whatever.
Right.
And that's when Martha comes in and is like, I thought, Batman saved us, remember?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So somehow Black Mask knows that Bullock wants this and says, I'll give it to you, right? The city's going to hell. I know you like Gordon. You were friends, right? But if you endorse, then I'm going to make sure you get all of the, assets you need to like protect the city.
Right. And so I think this is a really interesting thing where like Hill is not saying, "Hey, I'll make things happen." Right. He's making the connection where they're all going to benefit. Where likely Hill, I mean, we have kind of put that together from the last issue, but Hill is taking money from Black Mask.
Oh, 100%, yes.
Right. And now the commissioner is setting up to take money from Black Mask in a way, like take assets. And so Black Mask, this is organized crime. Like he owns the city, right? And they all owe him.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that weird moment in the wrestling?
Where he kills Bibbo?
Where it sure appears like he kills him.
Yeah.
In front of the mayoral.
Bullock,
yeah. Is it the mayor or the mayoral candidate?
Yeah, the mayor and the police commissioner. Or the mayoral candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. And the commissioner is like, "Man, he's had enough. Stop it."
Yeah, right.
And he's like, "Is he?" And Black Mask is like, "Don't worry about it, Commissioner. He'll be fine." And then they like walk away.
He's super
which
dead.
is like chilling.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
At the same time, Bruce is doing more research into the corporation behind Arkham, right? Mm-hmm. Turns out the secret unregulated prisons are run with not just the corporations, but also governments around the world, right? They say that Arc A was Santa Prisca, which I don't know if you know this. Santa Prisca is the island nation where the prison is where Bane.
Oh, no kidding.
That's Bane's prison.
Oh, so that's a good deep
Arc
cut.
A is
yes, that's good.
In the Nolanverse, that is Santa Prisca. It's like a desert nation. Not the case in the comics. It's like an island, think like Cuba, basically. Right?
Interesting.
Prison. So presumably Arc A in this universe is where Bane comes from. And they're lettered Arc B, C, so on and so forth.
Right.
And they're building Arc M in Gotham. And that's what, Bruce is using this like survey telescope or whatever to take a look at it. And Alfred's casing Bruce, tailing him, and he says, "Look at it, Bruce. Look at what you're up against."
It's kind of, I mean, it is really poignant to say like, look at all the assets, all the facilities, all the manpower or whatever, the resources that you're up against. They're literally building a like floating island prison that apparently is secret enough that we can see it, but you have to be up on a hill.
Well, I think that's the implication, right? Is that like he goes to Eddie, and Eddie and his AI tell him like, "Listen, there's no way to disrupt these computers. There's no way to stop this crypto stuff. You can't stop this from a technology perspective." He's learning about these dark sites. It's not just corporations. It's not just Black Mask. It's the governments, right? And so, like, he's up against this like. He's not fighting a criminal. He's fighting the system. The whole thing's broken.
Yes.
Right? So there's a scene where we learn that Martha is stepping in as Gordon's deputy mayor, which I don't remember. Did the last one get shot at the shooting? where the party animals showed up and shot at Gordon?
Gordon was the mayor.
It's unclear to me why Martha is stepping in to be deputy mayor. Like, is the last one dead?
That's a good question.
If you don't know, that's okay.
No, I don't know. But, I mean, there is someone who died. Well, audience, let us know. You're keeping us straight. We need your help.
Yeah.
We're putting up the bat signal.
and Bruce is really upset because apparently this role is dangerous. Like, mayors are getting shot at. Why would you want to step in as deputy mayor?
Yeah.
And we get this narration from Alfred that while that's happening, that he can't protect anyone. Not the people of Gotham, not his mother, right? He's like, don't you see what you're up against? This thing is bigger than you, right? And interestingly, when we cut to Alfred having this narration while he's talking to Mark, up until now, every time in the series when Alfred is casing someone, he's casing Bruce. He's following him around, right? But while he's giving this monologue to Bruce about like everything is in his head or whatever, this internal monologue to Bruce about don't you see everything you're up against? He's casing someone else. What do you think about this? Do you know who this is?
I don't know who this is.
Okay, so he's in a van with his sunglasses on. He's looking at a school. This big gate.
Is it his daughter?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So there's this woman who's like a teacher talking to kids at an elementary school, and they call her Miss Julia.
He says that at the very beginning of the first issue.
Yeah, Julia Pennyworth is. Yeah, and
nice.
Callback. Scott Snyder, not just a beginning of Absolute Batman, but Scott Snyder was writer during the New 52. Julia Pennyworth, a pretty important character during the entire New 52 run, not just in Scott Snyder stuff, but in Batman Eternal, which he co-wrote with James Tynion IV and other people. So like, it's not surprising that he's going back to that character because she's not particularly important. Like, I don't think a lot of people, they didn't invent her. I think she was invented in the 80s, but like easily Scott Snyder's probably one of the people that's done the most with Alfred's daughter. And so bringing her back, it's important to him. So it's important to Batman in this universe.
That's cool.
Yeah. Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly, I didn't think too much about it. I just kind of wondered who those kids were, honestly. and then the van drove away.
Yeah. Well, masterful, this happens a lot in comic books, right? Where there's so much going on. There's so many references. Mm-hmm. There's so many callbacks. Like, the bad way to do it is like it's the cornerstone on which everything rests, and you're going to be totally lost. The right way to do it is like contextually appropriate for the story, not going to rip you out of it, right? Ideally, telling part of the story that's useful to people who don't know who this is,
right? While
also reintroducing a bit, right? So very masterful bit there. We'll see. I presume she's going to become important later on.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You wanted this art in the slide deck.
Yeah, because this is the building he blew up. It's got it's got the bat ears and it's got his eyes in there. It's pretty interesting. And while they're describing some stuff that's going on,
the monologue continues. Alfred says, "Look around, past your fist, to all the people who will get hurt. Look up past the towers, the satellites, the forces at work, the whole sky tilted against you. And you look down past your feet at how far you can fall." Which is interesting because Alfred's telling him to look up and look down and not forward. Which is not what Selina was trying to do. Nice. Yeah, you got to keep looking forward.
Yeah, good point.
So, yeah.
And then we've got Hill for mayor. We got Hill saying, "I'm proud I have the endorsement of Commissioner Bullock and the GCPD." So he got his endorsement because of the Black Mask setup, and that means
Black Mask is getting everything he wants. And on the final page of the book, we've got a very sad, dejected, defeated Batman. He's on a video call with Black Mask, and he says he's going to take the deal. So, that's the setup is like, we've been introduced to this Batman. He's scrappy. He's, young. He's supposedly doesn't have, I think it's interesting, right? One of the core premises is that he doesn't grow up rich, right? And this is him being tempted with money. And so it's almost like, will he be corruptible? The Batman we know is incorruptible. And I think that they want us to think that he is. Almost assuredly, this is a head fake. Not just for us, but for Black Mask as well. But I'm interested to see where they go with it. Maybe it's not. Maybe he makes a choice he regrets and he tries to claw it back,
I mean, I think best case scenario, it goes like Alfred said, where they're able to track the money and the dude goes down. And then as like a what do you call it? Collateral damage, but it'd be more like
Sure.
collateral winning. This is how Bruce Wayne or Batman becomes wealthy and gets those resources
Sure.
to do some of the stuff that rich
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne could do.
He has to live with it for the rest of his life or whatever, that he made this like awful choice.
Yeah.
My guess is he's probably like, this is a honeypot somehow, right? He's gonna try to arrange them to meet in person or the money to be transferred, and he's gonna take them down. He's gonna be smarter than them, right?
That's my instinct as well. Yeah.
But it's a cool moment all the same, like because we're not reading this in a trade paperback. It is month to month. We got to sit with this. He's made the wrong choice for a month.
Yeah.
Wait and see what happens.
There is a cool moment on this page.
Yeah.
That at the top of it is like they want you to think about this right before Batman makes this move.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see that, but it says bats are not blind. Oh, that's
back.
terrible. There we go. Bats are not blind. And it drops that in at the top of the page right before he makes this deal. I think that also like kind of points to what you're saying is like a head fake is it's letting you know that there's more going on. And that they're talking about this as like not just being able to see in the moment, but also like vision, you know. Bats are not blind, and he is not blind.
Yeah. Any predictions?
Predictions?
I guess we just had some predictions, but
I can't say I've got a good prediction. I am curious if his mom is going to get wounded, possibly fatally,
sure.
because we know she's deputy mayor and the person across from her is with Black Mask. And Bruce called it, and there's this moment where he is saying bye to his mom, and she says goodbye, and it was like to end a conversation, but it also didn't. It's not kind of seemed foreboding to me, because usually like in storytelling, people say goodbye right before they die.
Right. Well, this could be interesting. Is it like an Uncle Ben moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. I guess on next time. Hey, Bat Fam. Hope you like the show. If you do, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Stickers. We got stickers. It's a great way to support the show. Just $5. Link in the description and on batlessons.com. To keep the Batman history train going, watch this video next.